Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scot McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
Because we don't see Mighty, being a $10 million company or $20 million company. I see Mighty being $1 billion company.
Hey, everybody, it's Scot. It's Wednesday morning Pitchwerks podcast time. Thank you for being there for us as our growing audience. I've got to tell you, the numbers continue to grow every week in terms of who's listening to the show. So thank you so much for telling your friends, telling your colleagues about this program. It started about 6 months ago, and it just continues to get bigger. In the vein of having big news, I want to tell you about today's guest. We're talking to Jen Yosef. She's the CEO of a startup called MIGHTY. Check them out at get-mighty.com. But understand, they're not even out there for you to consume yet. They're still in this application development process, but super interesting from one perspective that I think a lot of you really need to hear. You need to hear what she's got to tell you about validating your assumptions about your market. Check out what Jen has to say, but we're not going to jump into the interview just yet. I'm going to ask you to check out pitchwerks.com because starting today, we're going to start advertising an event that we're doing here locally in Pittsburgh. It's myself and the outsourced sales manager, Lisa Davidson. We're going to be in the Cranberry area doing selling for beginners at the Hilton Garden Inn up there. It's a nice little event. Please check it out. Let me remind you, if there's anything this show can do for you, we want to hear about it. We want to hear through the social channels, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, always Pitchwerks. Put the E in the word works, PITCHWERKS. So yeah, Jen, CEO of MIGHTY, is going to tell us about all kinds of things, but chiefly, I want you to pay attention to what she has to say about validating and testing. It's super important to what you're doing if you're just trying to start a new company or launch a new product. Here comes Jen Yosef. All right, well, here we go. Jen Yosef, tell me about, and I don't want to put you on a spot here, but if we're going to have a conversation, we should probably tell people what the conversation's about. Tell me about MIGHTY. What do people need to know?
So MIGHTY is a digital home improvement platform that matches homeowners with professional tradespeople.
Okay.
But we take it a step beyond that. We are standardizing the pricing and completing the entire transaction.
Okay. So how did you get into the home improvement and technology space? What was your path getting here?
So my background is engineering. I was an engineer in the energy industry for close to 8 years. And I always knew I kind of really wanted to start getting involved in the space because technology is no longer an industry, right? It is integrated into everything.
Yeah, there is no job where you're not doing tech. I get it, yeah.
But the energy industry, especially the sector I was in, oil and gas, was still, a little bit more old school to,
Conservative, resistant to change kind of a thing?
It was more the fact that they were not, even though they have good processes and procedures, they were not implementing technology to grow and move faster and to be able to really optimize what they're doing. And I think that's where I started feeling a little bit bored.
Now?
Yes.
Wow.
And I knew that eventually I wanted to really get involved in a space where I was in a very creative place and I was really doing something that was innovative.
That's cool. Now, what'd you go to school for? Engineering?
Yes.
Only engineering?
Correct. So
so you're not bringing in, it's like some other sort of like a minor or whatever that you wish you had major or something like that?
So my minor is in engineering as well. So it was a civil engineering, and then my minor was in nuclear.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
You're a genius.
No.
Just another genius brought to you by the fine folks at the Pitchwerks podcast.
Absolutely.
No, you're a genius, and I'm sticking you with it. So I'm a little bit amazed very few people have ever told me they were bored in the oil and gas and the energy space. That seems very fast moving, very exciting and whatnot, but you just kind of weren't where you wanted to be.
Correct. And when I talk about the fact that I was bored, I spent a good solid 7 years, my first 7 years, really honing down my technical skills.
Okay.
And one of the companies I worked for, Chevron, I really spent a great amount of time in technical capacity working at a refinery. And when people would ask me, what was it like working at a refinery? I really said it was a lot of fun.
I can imagine. It seems, again, like the kind of thing that would be tough to get bored at.
Absolutely, absolutely. But then as I went into the midstream sector, that was where, even though they had, there was processing plants involved and I was able to do some technical aspects, I think I kind of got to that point in my career where I wanted more. I wanted to be able to really get into a space where I saw that we're utilizing the most current technology and we are making a difference in that aspect.
Nice. And is there like a family tradition here? Like, is this something that like your parents did or someone that was close to you was involved in the energy business or the engineering business?
My dad was in a little bit of an aspect, but my dad's background was welding. So that's what he did. He started out as a welder and then he moved up and, he was in management roles and things like that. But my mom was a teacher and both my sister and I ended up becoming engineers. So.
How about that? Mighty makes more sense to me now than it did a couple minutes ago. Because Here you are, you're basically saying the same thing. These people work on these properties.
Yep.
And you're organizing them through technology. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. Because if you look at the home improvement industry, it has not evolved with technology, right? So we know every single space. And I almost hate using the word disruption because everybody uses it so much.
It's one of those things where people kind of like, they want you to pat them on the back for saying the word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what we have to look at it is every single industry is getting disrupted in some form or the other.
Yeah.
The home improvement space, not as much. And this is a process that's been going on for years and years and years. And so many of us are homeowners and we understand the issues that come about as our homes get older.
Right.
And having professional tradespeople is a very important skill set. And I can go and talk about this for hours and the skilled trades and how important that is, especially now, the day and age that we live in, and really utilizing people that want to do that. But that's what I saw. I saw that this is a space that needs to be evolved with technology. And the concept that we developed with Mighty was a perfect blend. But we're going beyond that. We are really focused on the empowerment that we're able to give everybody that's involved in this space.
Okay, so let's parcel this out a little bit. If I'm the user, what is my experience? Like, how do I come to you in the first place? I own a home. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so I have to own the property, and I identify something that has to happen at that property. Is it kind of a free-for-all, or are there specific categories?
So I should really say there'd be two types of consumers, because we have homeowners, and then we also have real estate agents, because the real estate agent piece ties in because they are so directly involved with the home process, right? Because they are doing the buying and selling for their clients. So as a homeowner or a real estate agent, you would come to us through our app and be able to share with us what your need is. So as we are in product development stage right now in the app that we're developing, you have the option to choose what kind of home improvement need you have. And once you pick that, through a short little video, you're able to share with us what the problem is. And then from there, it comes back to us and we're able to assess the problem and price it out and send it over to our consumer.
So it's turnkey.
Yes.
Now, here is what I really liked when I first met you. This isn't something where you're sitting around waiting for customers to materialize. You already ran sort of an alpha and beta stage where you did all stages of these developments and all these, improvements and repairs and whatnot to prove out your concept. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
I love that. But how did you do it? How did you, because a home is something that requires, I have to trust you if you're going to work inside my home.
Yes.
And no disrespect to you, but if you say to me, hey, is it all right if I try out my process on the place you live in? I don't know that I'm going to go along with this. So this was a bit of a gamble for people. How did you talk people into the idea that the Mighty process could work for them?
So we started through the real estate agents because that's how the whole concept was born. When we saw a bottleneck that real estate agents face. So when real estate agents are trying to close a home for their clients, they have a bottleneck, and that is this inspection report.
Okay.
The punch list that needs to be completed.
I remember these days. That was really difficult. It's
Correct.
like somebody's checking out the cracks in the chimney or how old is the furnace and those kinds of things.
Yes. So as soon as this inspection report comes in and it's given to the real estate agent that, hey, your client needs to get these 10 items fixed in order to be able to get this home moving further on.
Right.
The real estate agent is now stuck in a process because this is really an unpaid responsibility that they have, right? But it's tied to their commission.
Yeah.
And they need to complete this.
So they have to do somebody else's job or else they just don't get paid for the work
Absolutely.
outside of this task.
Absolutely.
It's a bottleneck. It's a hair in the deal.
Absolutely. And, a lot of times the real estate agents, I mean, if they've been doing this for a long time, they will have their set of contractors that they can go to. But let's look at this process in a way that even if you, as a real estate agent, have been doing this for 20 years and you have your set of contractors, what is the predictability that they are going to be able to come in and complete this work in the time frame that you need them to?
Right. They're not sitting around waiting for you to call.
Absolutely.
Especially in a temperate zone like where we live here in Pittsburgh, right? You only have, let's say, 6 months worth of good contracting weather.
Exactly. So now the real estate agent, I mean, if they have their contractors, they can call them. But again, they don't know if that's going to happen or not. But that's how Mighty came in the picture. And we said to these real estate agents, we are that one-stop shop experience for you. So hand us your punch list and we will get it done. And give us the time frame that you need to get this work done. So that's how we came in.
But these were people you knew already?
So one of our founders, Mike Regan, has an extensive experience. He worked in the real estate industry for a long time, and that's how he was able to tap into those resources.
So last week we had Aaron Brown from Sierra Experts, and I was very complimentary of the process that they followed, where they had a product after they had a customer, right? They found this customer that wanted something, and they said, oh, you're right, that would be tremendously useful to this industry. Let's build it. And they turned it around like 4 months, because when you have sort of like a clearly defined, this is what the product needs to be, much easier to come to the final version that can be released. Not necessarily the final forever, but the 1.0, right? Not everybody can do it that way. Not everybody can secure the customer first. But you told your story where I asked you a fairly pointed question. I was like, how do you know this is going to work? You said, Scott, it's because I've already run a number of homes through the process.
That's what we wanted to do. We really wanted to, create the team that will be able to look at the process that Mighty needs to go through and be able to strategize in different aspects. And with Mike's real estate experience, knowing that this was an issue that real estate agents face and using that as a strong distribution channel, we are now able to really create a viral effect. Because once a real estate agent said, wow, I absolutely love what Mighty is doing, they're going to tell another real estate agent. And we're talking about the effect getting larger and larger. And we're talking about homeowners finding about us through real estate agents and then doing that referral process. So we, last year, just to talk a little bit about our market validation test, was we completed a test that we executed 130 projects over a span of 8 months.
Oh my God, I love you.
And
130 of them? A lot of people, and I mean exactly what I'm telling you. A lot of people would have done 3 and patted themselves on the back. 130 is a tremendous number. Now, did you do this through an app? Like an early version of the app, or did you just do like a mechanical sort of like on paper process?
It was more, I would call it a native app and really the website.
Okay.
So it was what we wanted to do. We did not want to waste time and money on a product that was unvalidated.
130 though is a number that I can't reach you from here, but I want to high five you in like the biggest way. 130 is extra coursework. You went up and asked for more. And
correct.
That's tremendous.
And what we knew that this is going to be invaluable data, right?
Yeah.
It's all about data, especially when you are starting a company. If you cannot understand and complete really good data analysis, you are setting yourself up for failure from the very beginning. And obviously for us, getting the valuable data was one aspect, but the second one was we generated a good revenue of $500,000.
You were able to push $500,000 worth of projects through a native app, which probably was a little bit not quite, graphically
very
beautiful.
Simple,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Where are you now in the process?
So right now we are in the product development stage. So we are developing our app.
Yeah, but are you still doing continuing projects? I have a feeling you are.
And at this, we had to put a pause to that.
Okay.
And it really was because we gathered really good amount of data that we were able to execute and develop the product, that we wanted to make sure that our focus was very much on that product development.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've got a mountain of data to claw through.
Absolutely.
Now. So out of the people that you did these projects for, how many of them were kind of what you felt like? We all have an idea who our customer is. Of those 130, how many were you right about? How many were you wrong about, do you think?
Oh gosh, that's a good one, because I think in every single project, I will say there was a lot of validated learning. And that's a term that I love to use, that, I'll give Eric Ries, Lean Startup, credit for that. And each project was something where we learned things failed, right? Mm-hmm. Because nothing's going to go perfect. And failure is where you're going to learn. But we really wanted to do it to be a process where when we failed, we saw exactly what went wrong and how can we make the process better.
Okay.
So each time we did that, we gained, again, invaluable data.
Absolutely. But I would like, because you've seen it, right? I would like you to comment on all the people that sort of think that their vision will automatically find an audience, right? You have obviously not fallen into that trap, but you know how many people are out there that do. I like to call it the Steve Jobs approach, where people act as if it's their own money that's going to fund the whole adventure, and it's their own vision, which will just be adopted by people. They will build it. The people will come, right? I'm trying to get a sense of, do you feel like you were pretty close? Do you feel like you were very far off? Where does this land? And I realize it's a hard thing to quantify because I'm using sort of squishy terminology, but I think it's obvious you're happy that you did this. But I'm wondering, if you hadn't done it, how far off do you think you would have been?
That is a very interesting question, because I think that even before, if we had not done this testing, we would be in a situation right now where we would not understand our market. Mm-hmm. And I think that we would really be going in blindly for everything. And maybe I should really explain the way that my brain works, right?
Okay.
I cannot process that I would move forward with something as big as the development stage we're in without doing some sort of a validation process. So it's even hard for me to understand. I mean, right now we're at the phase where we know, as we're developing this product, we have so many unknowns.
Yes.
And we have to keep doing every single stage we complete. We got to keep doing the testing process. And if we hadn't done this process last year, we would be in a situation where we would create what we think is the solution, but I would say 100% it would fail.
Some of this is about hands-on, pragmatic, just sort of like, let's go. And some of it is academic, and everyone has a different mix. I would say probably 90% of people would just go. So I think this is your secret weapon. I think you're going to do great because you understand your customer better. And I want people to understand the value of slowing down a little bit and asking people. It's the most interesting data validation story I've ever heard. Not a joke. And please take that as the compliment it's intended to be.
Thank you.
When we sat down, I liked the idea of your business, but I've liked the idea of a lot of businesses, right? I'm open to curiosity and wonder. You hear people with ideas, it's easy to go along. I am fascinated and awestruck by 130 data validation projects, $500,000 worth of, hey, can I do your home improvement? And that's a story I wanted everyone to hear. So now moving on, when do you think you'll be out of the process so that all of the fine people out there in podcast land can actually start using the app for themselves?
So our goals are to launch the end of summer.
Okay.
So early September would be the goal to launch the app.
Yeah. And you think you're pretty much on that track?
We are. We absolutely are. And here's another thing that, just went with the process of this market validation we completed is we understood how to pivot. And we understood that in order, because we don't see Mighty, being a $10 million company or $20 million company. I see Mighty being $1 billion company. And, I might sound, very confident in that. It's because we understand the market again.
Yes.
We understand we're tapping into a $1 trillion home improvement space.
Your mistakes maybe aren't as expensive as they might have been. Can't hurt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And especially those early mistakes.
Exactly.
I spend a lot of time talking to young founders who are on their first go, and they always say, well, we're going to hope we don't get sued, right? Whenever they do something risky, it's like, okay, well, do you have insurance for liability? How are you going to deal with the liability concerns? A lot of these different startups have these kinds of concerns. And they just say, well, we're going to try to scale up as quickly as possible and get cash into our operating budget so that we can deal with those things if and when they happen. I really like your approach better. That doesn't make me right, but I think you're right for what it's worth.
I hope you are.
Getting people to their commission check,
Yeah.
that is a visceral response you'll get from that real estate market. Is that kind of where you think you want to pitch the products primarily?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So we are going to really be using our distribution channel of real estate agents. And again, when we are tapping into a very unique advantage that we have. And again, all that credit goes to Mike and for, the experience that he has in that. He's really been able to lead us into that direction.
That's fantastic. Now, what do you need? What's going maybe slower than you want?
And I think if you ask any startup company, it's always funding, right?
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So Mighty's in the process where, we understand what we need in terms of our product development. We have a small team of a lead developer, a designer. We're keeping it very, very lean. I also have 2 interns that are going to do a lot of market analysis and research on the operations piece. And to get us further, to get us to, keep growing, we do need funding. And that's the challenge that we're in because Pittsburgh it's not set up for a lot of funding when it comes to startup.
It's changing. I don't know that it's necessarily changing as fast as everybody wants it to. To that end, have you considered relocation? Because that seems to be something that people push on startups when it comes time to look for funding. Is that something that's even, in the conversation right now?
No, because I think, it's so premature to jump and move to Silicon Valley and Boston and New York City just because that's where everybody's at. It makes things so much more complicated and it's just not, I think we have a sense of pride in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we really want Pittsburgh to be that hub. We want Mighty to really have its roots in Pittsburgh and be that company that people talk about 10 years from now, saying that Mighty is headquartered in Pittsburgh and that's where they started and they stuck it out.
Oh, that's cool, because I like to know famous people and I don't like to get on planes to go meet them. So you and I are going to have lunch at like the top of one of the buildings someday, and I'm going to hold you to it.
Perfect. Absolutely.
So to that end, do you think people are having a hard time getting your pitch, your funding pitch? Like, are they understanding it?
Yes, I think people understand it, but I think where they struggle with is the fact that we want to start small. And that's what I was referring to earlier when I said that because of the fact that we've done so much testing and we have so much data, we understand the value of starting our product. The first iteration of this app is the small, immediate jobs. And I think that people start jumping into things and they ask us, well, I need to get my bathroom remodeled. Is Mighty's app going to do that? Now, we've done bathroom remodeling. Yeah. We've done entire home remodeling. So we understand the complexities that go with large projects.
Yeah.
But we have to also be very mindful of the fact that, again, when I said that home improvement is a newer space, we have to also understand that technology is not completely caught up with where we want to take Mighty, right?
Okay.
People at this time, I mean, when we look at the professional contracting world, they are still going to somebody's house to measure things, to measure walls. But we also have a lot of apps that are coming out now that,
there's a little bit of a glut.
Yes.
And I mean, you've done more research than I have, but it is getting, by the day, harder to rise above the noise level. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, are you seeing consolidation, though, too, where people are sort of disappearing? Or are they just stacking up? It's like nobody's exiting the market. It just keeps stacking up in the App Store.
Well, so I would say, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there are some apps that people are creating that are going to be valuable and can be integrated with other companies.
Yeah.
While the other ones, not so much.
Tell me how I'm going to feel about Mighty if I'm the contractor. You have to have had these conversations when you were doing your validation. Did they respond well, or was there... I think there's a certain degree of conservatism there where, hey, little lady, I've been doing this for 50 years kind of a thing. Did you experience that?
You know, I will say that the amount of positive response we got was overwhelming.
That is really good news.
Yes. And we did not expect that. Because we have to also understand that when the Mighty model is not about replacement. It's complementary.
No, it honestly feels, the way you're describing it, like just outsourced project management for these people that don't necessarily have that skill set on their crew.
Absolutely. And let's take a step back and see, as a professional tradesperson, you go through a program where you study your skill. You are not spending time learning how to bid, learning how to estimate projects. Nobody wants to chase jobs. Nobody wants to waste their time going to houses and giving out free estimates. Mm-hmm. That's a waste of their time.
Yeah.
And I think what our model does and what Mighty does is really empowers these professional tradespeople. And that's what we wanted for them. We wanted them to see Mighty as a partner.
I would like to kind of go back to this whole funding pitch thing, right? We've got to work on this a little bit. I mean, the show is kind of about that sort of a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go after somebody that might invest, who are you looking for? Who are you specifically pitching to? And I don't want to use names because I have a feeling that I would probably end up making people look silly for not having just opened up their checkbook. I have a feeling that you're not asking for that much money.
No, we are not.
Let's get the number out. How much are you trying to raise at this point?
We're trying to raise $400,000.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money. No, I mean, not for what you're trying to build and not for as much validation as you put into proving out the concept.
Absolutely.
All right, so if you have already talked to Mighty, and I don't know who you are, and you've not written that check, I'm honestly kind of disappointed in you. But in your defense, I'm going to assume that you just didn't get the pitch, and I'm going to work with young Jen, and we're going to sex this thing up a little bit. We're going to make it so you can't say no next time. So what do you lead with? What is your value when you are going to these people that might fund Mighty?
So the value that we are giving is just let's look at first our distribution channel. Let's look at the fact that we have a very strategic partnership with a real estate company.
Love that, by the way, speaking as a spectator and not the coach. I love that because, again, I think it's a visceral response. Hey, would you like to get your commission checks faster, more reliably? Would you like to have fewer deals fall off? Mm-hmm. This is all that sales stuff, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I'm feeling it.
Absolutely. So that's a unique advantage and a point that we have, that we're able to tap into the market. Let's think about the fact how many companies spend thousands, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars in marketing.
Yeah.
And it gets wasted. It's so much wasted money. Look at the fact that we've been able to capture that and understand that we have this distribution channel and we're going to utilize that. And this is a, capital efficient and lucrative marketing platform.
Plus, if I'm a contractor, I want to take the mighty job first, I think, because I don't want to fight with a homeowner. No disrespect to the people that you're going to market to, secondarily. Mm-hmm. Homeowners can be a little unpredictable.
Yes.
Someone who's used to working in property management, real estate, these kinds of things are a little bit more practiced, a little bit more reasonable, maybe. At least, I haven't done 130 projects to validate that statement. I'm just saying. I would want to work with somebody who was professional at this, as opposed to take my chances that the Joneses are going to be nice to me when it comes time to review the finished product.
Yep.
Okay. So Mighty helps real estate professionals close deals.
Absolutely.
Bang dead.
Okay. Exactly.
So are we pitching this to people who are already making real estate plays, like people who invest in real estate type businesses? Have we singled them out yet?
Yes. But now we have to also understand the stage that we're at. We're looking at seed funding, right? So we're looking at a lot of angel investors. We're looking at people that obviously are a lot more cautious.
So you're not going to be matched up with somebody who owns 25% of Remax because they don't need seed funding. Okay, correct. Fair enough.
So and we can't, at this time, we are not going to be able to give a big chunk of the company, right? So we want to wait till we get to the Series A part.
Don't ever do that.
That's the goal.
Don't give up any of it.
Yeah.
You should go kicking and screaming if that day should ever arrive. I hope that you're able to get that pitch in front of somebody who is a little bit more open-minded and smarter, because the people you've been pitching lately apparently lack some sort of vision. And I'm allowed to say that because A, I don't know who they are. And B, I don't care if I piss them off. If someone wanted to reach out to you for whatever reason, hopefully with a check, how would they do that?
Please,
oh my God, your eyes just got so big. You're like, that would be fantastic.
I know. It's like, do you want me to give my email, phone number?
Well, first we need your routing number, and then we need the actual checking account number. And if you can actually
meet them somewhere.
There you go. Yeah, you can meet them. I need you to be at the Unimart in Bridgeville at 4 a.m. tomorrow, and you're going to want to bring a brown paper bag.
Yes.
No, seriously, if somebody wants to reach out to you for any number of different reasons, I think that they would probably want to offer contacts that might be able to help you. And they may just want to ask you how this gets done if you're open to answering those types of questions.
Absolutely. And, people can find me easily on LinkedIn.
There you go.
We have our website, get-mighty.com, where they can contact us. And, but again, I'm always very open to when people reach out to me on LinkedIn, to connect with them and build networks. And, and again, sometimes they might not even come back to me and say that, hey, we have a check for you, but they have advice. And
well, they better.
Yeah.
Good God. Listen how good we did today.
Yes. But I advice that I can get from folks is very invaluable again, right? And I look for people that have so much more experience.
You are so much nicer than I am, because I don't want your advice until you show up with skin in the game. I really don't. I want nothing to do with that. Everyone wants to tell you what your startup should be.
Yeah.
Or everybody wants to tell you that button that you forgot to include, because then that's their button, right?
Yeah.
It's their way of it's a free way of being creative.
Yeah.
Hey, I realized that I didn't do any of those projects with you, and I've never one time even brought coffee to your office. But I want a blue button down here in the bottom corner that lets me talk directly to a sales rep. I'm not feeling it. I think you get to pick features when you stroke checks.
True.
See, there it is.
Yeah.
Jen Yosef, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. I'm hoping that that at the end of the summer we can have you back on and we can talk about maybe how good things are going for you in downloads and success.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Scott, for having me.
Thanks, Jen. All right, that's it for this week. I hope you took a lot away from that market validation conversation because there's a ton there, and I think a lot of you can use that type of insight. Don't forget, we do have that event coming up on the 20th of May. I'd love for you to be there. Check it out. Go to pitchwerks.com. You can find ticket purchasing information on the website. And if there's anything else that this program can do for you, make sure you hit us up through all of the various social channels. It's Pitchwerks. It's always Pitchwerks. You know where to find us. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. I hope you take care of yourself for the next 7 days when we'll be coming to you with another program. I'll catch you then.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.